CIA Director John Ratcliffe and Acting National Security Advisor Marco Rubio are raising some serious questions given evidence gathered by U.S. intel agencies. They're doubtful Iran is ready to agree to the nuclear terms the U.S. wants included in a final deal. That's a big deal. And it's according to a U.S. official with knowledge of the matter who spoke with MS Now. Joining us, the Vice Chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Democrat Mark Warner of Virginia. He is a member of the Gang of Eight. As a member of the Gang of Eight, I'm sure you'd have a little bit more information on this than I do. Do you?
Nope. You would think that if the president is signing some memorandum with the Iranians, we would see it. My fear is, and we will ultimately get to see it, that it's even Trump with all the spin in the world can't turn this into a victory. The regime is worse than before. There's no real path to get the enriched uranium. I don't think the agreement even mentions Iran's ballistic missile capability. And there's still an overhang on the Strait of Hormuz. There is no rational way that anybody can say America's better off. And if Marco and Radcliffe are saying, hey, the Iranians have jerked Americans around for years on their nuclear ambitions, and suddenly they're going to give them up in another 60 days. I think the intelligence is probably right, but this president doesn't listen to intelligence on a regular basis.
Let me play President Obama regarding what the Trump administration is likely to get out of any deal with Iran.
It is doubtful that any agreement that arises is going to be significantly different or a significant improvement from the deal that we had in the first place and had worked for a long stretch of time before the United States pulled out of it. The notion that we can just bully our way or bomb our way to solutions may sometimes seem appealing, but the fact of the matter is that taking the time to explore diplomacy and exhaust the possibilities of coming up with deals that don't solve 100% of the problem, but solve 80, 90% of the problem, while avoiding the necessity of going to war. You'd think we would have learned that lesson by now, but it seems like every so often we have to relearn that lesson again.
So, Senator, what is the best case scenario for the way this thing ends?
Well, President Obama was right with his analysis. And on top of that, the Iranians negotiated for years with Obama before we got JCPOA. Not perfect. Then there were some negotiations first Trump term, Biden. The idea that the two guys, in the case of Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, they may be buddies of Trump or family members, but that they know the sophistication of a nuclear negotiation against some of the toughest negotiators in the world, I'm not sure what could be the best option. There is some reports as well that the Iranians may get access to $300 billion of rebuilding. I'll be anxious to see whether any of those contracts go to Trump cronies. That's just been reported. I have not seen the agreement. The only thing that's good is this war of choice will be potentially brought to an end for at least a while. We'll see when Israel restrikes Lebanon what will happen, and that we may at least start the path back to reopening the Strait of Hormuz. But on a net basis, going back to the end of February, even the hardest core Trump people can't say this is a win.
I think it is still surprising that you can only cite reports as a member of the Gang of Eight, and you have not seen the actual text of this deal. Also, the Iranians apparently haven't seen it either, so there's that. At least you're in that company, I guess. Let me ask you about the Defense Production Act. Donald Trump, a memo to Pete Hegseth, who, by the way, just the other day said there's no problem here regarding munitions, said that he's invoked the Defense Production Act regarding munitions. I hereby find that conditions exist which may pose a direct threat to the national defense or its preparedness programs, limited production capacity, fragile supply chains, long lead dependencies, and related production bottlenecks. I don't understand, Senator.
Well,
I thought there was no problem.
you're going to hear words from me you don't often hear. On this case, Trump is right. We are down, and we've got to increase our munitions. And the thing that, again, just makes me crazy is we've been using missiles that cost $2.5 million to sometimes shoot down Iranian $50,000 drones. And you know what? President Zelensky and the Ukrainians offered us their technology months ago. They figured out how to shoot down an Iranian drone with a counter drone from Ukraine at $5,000 a pop. So our munitions are down. Our bases are not as well defended. Israel is not as well defended because they have exhausted a lot of their capabilities as well. And unlike the way Hegseth reported, oh, we've gotten rid of almost all of the Iranian capacity, now reports in the public domain are saying that, 60, 70% of the Iranian ballistic missiles could be left and almost all of their drones. So, yes, we are down on munitions.
There is a cheaper way to do it, and we had an ally, or we have an ally that we haven't been appreciating.
We have an ally that said do it, yes.
Yeah.
And we said...
Let me ask you, because I don't want to run out of time before I ask you about Jay Clayton, the DNI nominee. You just met with him. What'd you think of him?
Well, first of all, I'm trying to do everything possible to avoid Bill Pulte, who is totally unqualified, doesn't even have a security clearance, getting the keys to the 18 intelligence agencies. This goes way beyond our debate about Section 702. This guy should not be inside the most secrets of our secrets in terms of our 18 intelligence agencies. I've known Jay Clayton. I think he will stand up for the Constitution. I got a lot of questions tomorrow. Will he make sure there's no DNI interference in our elections? Will he acknowledge Joe Biden won the presidency? Will he make clear that he will speak truth to power, even if it's uncomfortable? But end of the day, I do think Clayton will be confirmed. And my hope is that we can move it along quickly so that Pulte never actually gets into the job. We could actually get Clayton confirmed by the end of the week. People can still vote against him, but if they want to. But let's not let Pulte get a look at our nation's most important secrets.
What's up with 702 and FISA? Is that going to get reaffirmed eventually?
Listen, this was always going to be a heavy lift. 70% of the president's daily brief comes from Section 702 collections. It's terribly critical. It has expired. We are still, some of the telcos are still participating. I'm afraid, though, they may get called out by a shareholder and say, don't participate. So that's all up in the air. I believe, and there are probably 25% of the Democrats who agree that we can't allow this tool to go vacant or go unused. President Obama supported it. President Biden supported it. And I do think we have put in good reforms. We can always do better. But I sure as heck don't want, God forbid, something happens while 702 is expired, and this president, who's not really been that supportive of it, but would then claim, you see, bad things happen because the Democrats didn't renew this tool.
Yeah, and just for everybody who might be wondering, it's the foreign surveillance tool. It allows the government to listen in on foreign interactions, foreign communications, even if there is an American involved, as long as there is a foreign partner in that communication. Senator, thank you so much.
You can't look at the communications. You can't look at the communications without a warrant. You can actually look at who they've called if they hear Katy Turey's name. But a longer debate next time on that.
Let's hope they don't hear Katy Turey's name.
All right.
Senator, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you for that clarification. I appreciate it.